Onlar yemiş, sayı yemiş.
G500'le beraber
Biz yapalım.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to yet another installment in the UNAM Nancolloquium series. Today it is my pleasure to introduce Professor İskender Yılgör from the Department of Chemistry at Koç University. He's a very prolific scientist with extensive publication record in the areas of polymer science and technology, and he's the founding member of the Department of Chemistry at Koç University. I won't go over details too much. We are really looking forward to your talk, and therefore I will invite you to the stage, Professor Yılgör. Without further ado, Professor Yılgör, let's stand.
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation and also the hospitality. I also had, really nice discussions today. So I was telling them, our and your approach to science and technology is quite different. Here, as far as I can see, there's more science. In our case, there's more technology and not really basic science. I don't know why, but so this is our university. I'm sure most of you have seen our campus. Our chemistry department is right here, and we have a real nice view of the galaxy, although it doesn't look like at all. But now we are putting a huge building here, a new research building, because really, our campus was designed for 2,500 people. Now we have about 6,000, so we don't fit in. Therefore, they have to do something. And finally, they got the permission, and they're putting the new research center. So this work basically was carried out by Çağla, who was our PhD student. And then me and Emel, of course, Emel, my wife, she basically runs the lab, and I try to get some money, some funding, some ideas. So far, things have been working pretty good. Now, this is something that I like, and I start my every lecture, not only here, but every course lecture, the first lecture, with this, phrase. The most fundamental and lasting objective of synthesis is not the production of new compounds, which is usually the case in Turkey. Somebody makes polymer A, the other guy makes polymer B, C, D, E, F, but it's the production of properties. Why? Because properties means technology, application. But this compound is just, curiosity. So therefore, that's my motto, has been motto. Of course, I spent quite a bit of years in industry. So what I want to do, I want to do good science, but also try to, convert the science into technology, something useful, something that can be, solution to problems. And today also I'll show you some examples with this work. So I'll just give you a little background on superconducting surfaces. I'm sure most of you have a lot of ideas about it, our objectives, methods, and here basically what we have done, we have developed some very simple coating methods that's applicable to a wide range of polymers versus like microlithography or some very complicated techniques to get super hydrophobic surfaces. Now, I mean, I'm sure you all know the wetting behavior of surfaces. Basically, when you put a drop of any liquid on a surface, it makes a contact angle. Now here we are mainly interested in contact angle that water makes with surfaces. And if the surface is hydrophilic, which means it likes water, it interacts with water, then this contact angle is less than 90 degrees. If it is more than 90 degrees, like Teflon or silicone or maybe polyolefins, then it's called hydrophobic, so it's water repellent, it's water loving. But I mean, recently, about maybe 20 years or so ago, this thing started. I'm going to give you a little bit more information. Now, there's a lot of interest in the superhydrophobic surfaces where the contact angle is higher than 150 degrees. There's a few other things that's also necessary, but this is what we want to make. So put roughness to the surface and try to make this contact angle more than 150, and you'll see why. Now, another thing that's really important, now if you incline this, sample, then you will have two contact angles, different contact angles. One of them is called advancing, the other one is receding. And here you can do the same thing. You put a flat surface, put a drop, and pump liquid into it, and the contact angle changes. So this is advancing, so if you can pump it out, it will be receding. Now the key for superhydrophobic surfaces is that this advancing minus receding contact angle should be less than 10 degrees. Because receding will try to put, contact angle will try to keep the droplet on the surface. However, advancing will let it, go. So basically, if there's a big difference, usually this droplet doesn't really flow easily from the surface. So this is important. Contact angle should be very high, but the difference between advancing and receding should be less than 10 degrees. Now, how this whole thing started, in fact, basically the science of this whole study was carried out by nature. So I didn't do my science here. Now, in 1997, I'm sure you all know lotus leaf, because when you put a drop of water on lotus leaf, it just flies away. But when I first saw it, I was shocked. It was many years ago. So what these guys did, they said, why is this so different than the others? All they have to do was, go and take an SEM picture. And what they have seen is structures like these, cone-like structures, very randomly distributed. Their heights were around, 5 to 10 microns. And then their diameters were about 5 to 10 microns. The distance was 5 to 20 microns. So basically, one SEM changed the whole thing. And then they also looked at one of these cones close up. So this was a microstructure, and then they saw this nanostructure on the surface. So, and then they tried to mimic this by using all kinds of different techniques. Okay? But the start was this 1997 paper by these two German scientists. And in fact, as you can see, these droplets are almost like 180 degrees, and it really flies away. Although it's a little smaller. So basically, now from this surface, the information we get is that there should be cone-like surface structures, and they are randomly distributed, and structures are also random. Because what happens, people try to mimic these things by using microlithography, well-defined surfaces. It didn't work. It didn't work. So again, base diameters, heights, and so forth, and the distance between these things, aspect ratio, and then again, hierarchical micro-nanostructure was important, and the contact angle was 156 to 161. So what we try to do is to get these type of surfaces by using simple techniques, and then try to analyze them and look behind some science, because there are some models. Of course, many plant beings behave the same way. Also, many insects behave the same way. For example, here we have a butterfly wing. It has micro and nanostructure. So basically, this repels water. Also, this color gets, of course, from these structures. But we are really mainly interested in water repellency. So basically, this has a water contact angle of 150 degrees or higher than 150 degrees. Again, many insects and many plants behave the same way. And one of the very first examples of these superhydrophobic surfaces, in fact, before the name was coined, was shown by, these guys. They also have a really nice book on surface chemistry, or surface analysis of polymers. In 1989, about 7-8 years before these guys showed that, they took Teflon surface and etched it with plasma, oxygen plasma, and they got roughness on it, and then they measured the contact angle that was more than 150 to 60 degrees, and contact angle in streets was less than 10 degrees. This was way before this SEM of lotus leaf, but at that time again they didn't say super hydrophobic, and this paper is not really cited too much in the literature. Of course, first, since this is Teflon and oxygen plasma, they thought they would be creating hydrophilic surfaces, oxidized surfaces, but nevertheless they were able to see very high contact angle, and I'll tell you why later on. Now, after that, again, one of the first groups that really started playing with these things is by Tom McCarthy at UMass. So he's a surface scientist, worked by the investigation with Whiteside, and they prepared very well-defined surfaces with different, geometries and with different distances and, feature sizes and so forth, just to show that, if the feature size or the distance between the features change, you may have or you may not have superhydrophobic behavior, which is very similar to what we learned from lotus leaf surface. So again, but here everything was very well defined and very well distributed. Nevertheless, they observed that if the distance between these things is more than 32 micrometers, these surfaces were not superhydrophobic. So the distance was important, and they said that square pulse was much better than the others in terms of superhydrophobicity. Now this is important because this was co-authored by our first graduate, Didem Öner from Koç University, first chemistry graduate, and he graduated in 1997, got her PhD in 2001, and this was one of the very first papers published, and she had only 3 papers. Then she joined industry, she had now many patents, but no papers. And the first 2 articles received more than 2,000 citations. So she has 3 papers, more than 2,000 citations. This is great, because this was the really leading type of work showing how superhydrophobic surfaces could be obtained by, of course, well-defined synthesis. After that, I think McCarthy published maybe hundreds of papers, and they're all very well received. He's a very smart guy, Tom McCarthy. And then other people tried to combine microstructure with nanosurfaces. Again, by using microlithography. Look, these are also very well defined, very regular, and so forth. And some of them really show superhydrophobicity, but some of them really doesn't. And here you can see the the nanostructure. I think this is about 100 nanometers. So basically, here there's nanostructure which is here, and then microstructure is these posts. Now then, this cartoon basically tells the story. If you have a hydrophobic surface, let's say silicon surface, flat, the contact angle is about 110 degrees. If it's Teflon, it's 115, 120 degrees. Now, if you just put a nanostructure on it, this goes up, but it doesn't become super hydrophobic. If it is just the microstructure, again, contact angle may go up to 130 or so. But if you combine them, then you get truly super hydrophobic surfaces. So basically, chemical structure is important, although it's not that important, I'll show you. But surface topography, roughness, but especially this, dual roughness is really very, very important. And there are 2 models to explain these things. One of them is called Benzel model. This is the old model. And Benzel said that when you put a drop of liquid on a rough surface, it wets the surface, as you can see. And then the cosine theta here can be expressed as R. R is the ratio of the actual surface area, which is the rough area, to projected, which is the flat area. So R is always greater than 1. So basically he said this is equal to this. Now there's a big problem here, as I'll show you, because if theta on the flat surface is more than 90, then you have a chance to get, higher contact angles on a rough surface. But if the surface is hydrophilic, then it's impossible to make it superhydrophobic by using Bensel model. I'll show you that. On the other hand, the new model, also this is pretty old, in the 40s, there's the Bensel model. They say that the droplet doesn't really wet the whole surface, it just sits on these protrusions. And then, basically, cosine theta here is equal to F, which is the fraction of the surface on top of these protrusions, which is very small, times cosine theta plus F minus 1, which is, the air, darkness. And then there's a combined model, but this really doesn't work that well. So basically, two models. Now, in this case, even if you start with a hydrophilic surface, you can get a superhydrophobic behavior, superhydrophobic, material. But not with this one, as you showed. Now, in fact, just yesterday, in fact, really, this just shows the citations. But look at the number of articles published. 19 to 1999, only 9 articles. In the next, 10 years, 1,500 articles. Now, almost 1,000, more than 1,000 articles per year published on this surface, and these are the citations. Again, this area, for some reason, is really very, very hot. And I'll tell you why it's hot. It's because of this. Because of people claim that, hydrophobic surfaces, since these droplets can freely move here, down here, first of all, they can, pick up these dirt and take them away. So they can be self-cleaning surfaces. For example, if you have solar panels, you would like to coat them with something so the dirt, dust, and nothing will just stick to it, or when it rains, it will carry out all the dust. Some people have made anti-fogging coatings, anti-reflective, anti-fouling. This is very, very important, but I don't think there is anything that can really be used for these purposes. Now, this is very hot, which we are very much interested in. I'll show you also we are interested in this one, and then many others. So there are lots of possible applications, although there aren't really solid ones yet. But people are working on it, and we are working on it. And I'll again give you some examples. Now, how people prepare these things? They can do electrospinning because you can get nanofibers, and especially if you modify the nanofiber surface with a fluorinated material or silicone, then you can really get through the superhydrophobic webs. There's microphase separation in polymer science. We do these things, etching, printing, again microlithography. So lots of things. There are simple ones like spraying and dip coating, and all the others are either very tedious or polymer specific. So what we wanted to do is to develop methods that can be applied to all kinds of polymers. And simple enough. So basically what we did, we used two different spin coating methods. Basically our trick is using silica. Silica nanoparticles, which are commercially available. Okay? We were using this to modify silicone polymers in bulk because they give tremendous, improvement in the strength. But then I saw one paper, and it wasn't silica; they were using something else. He said, "What? Can we use silica and make this super hydrophobic?" And it worked. And then we developed several other techniques. First, again, we just spin coated silica on the surface, and there were some problems there because they didn't stick well. Then we mixed silica with polymer and spin coated that, and we were able to get nice surfaces, super hydrophobic. Then we can use ductile blade coating, which is very, very widely used, for example, in textile industry, or coating large flat surfaces. And finally, we developed the spray coating technique, which is the easiest. So you can directly paint these things on any type of surfaces. And then what did we do? We looked at some critical parameters like chemical structure and composition of the polymer. It didn't really have any effect. Concentration of silica polymer mixture had some effect. Number of coating layers applied was important. And then also we looked at particle size distribution and surface roughness and lots of things. Lots of things. And just to demonstrate that under certain conditions, it was possible we were able to get superhydrophobic surfaces, but sometimes, for example, if the number of layers is not high enough, or if concentration of silica is low enough, it really didn't work well. So we have, 5 papers so far published. And one of the materials, the first one, of course, we are very well known in silicon chemistry, especially silicon thermoplastics. So I started with a, chemical siloxane copolymer, which we synthesized in lab. So this has 92% silicon in it, so it's very hydrophobic. So this was the first polymer we used because it was guaranteed that we were going to get super hydrophobic behavior. But then we used polystyrene, which has a water contact angle of about 90 degrees. So it's just in between hydrophilic and hydrophobic. And then we use methyl methacrylate, which is hydrophilic. It has a water contact angle of 65 degrees or so. So basically we wanted to compare, we had a neutral polymer, hydrophobic polymer, and hydrophilic polymer, and we tried to make them all super hydrophobic. And then we use silica, again commercially available. The surface of the silica was covered with dimethyl siloxane, so it's hydrophobic. There's also hydrophilic ones, and the particle size was 10 to 30 nanometers. And the first method we used, again, we usually use glassilize or silica or silicone, whatever, but you can make a thin polymer film on it by spin coating, and then deposit silica on top of it, as many layers as you want, and then at the end, you coated this whole surface with a layer of polymer, just to make sure that they stick. This was the very first method we developed, and these silica dispersions in THF was very stable, so we were able to use them. But of course, when you coat them on the surface, they agglomerate. For example, here, this is the silicon urea copolymer, neat surface, very flat, very smooth, water contact angle 110 degrees. You put 2 layers. There are some particles sitting on the surface, but they are too far away from each other, so it doesn't become super hydrophobic. But then, when you put 3 layers, as these particles get, as you see, they are very randomly distributed, and the sizes are different. But you get 151 degrees, and then here, almost 160 degrees after 60 layers. If you look at this thing, it really looks like that lotus surface. So, and then we examine, the nanostructure, and as you can see, this is 200 nanometers. So basically, the silica, which is the nanoparticle itself, has a really rough surface, and this rough surface can easily be seen, which really helped us to get super hydrophobic behavior. Of course, now we have all kinds of instrumentation, and these, students love to just use any one of them just to show, of course, that they can do these things. And here there are some, 3D and phase and height AFM images, and as you can see, really you can see these, nanostructures on silica surface also in here. So basically, we were able to get, micron-sized particles, agglomerates, in nanosurfaces, and we could also do this by, the white light interferometry. I think, we have the only chemistry group that uses white light interferometry, because we wrote this for Kuitam, but, Hakan Ray uses it, just to see the surface roughness on these, devices that he's developing. But, we realized that it could be used for polymers also. And why? Because we can, really, go through here or here and see the surface roughness very easily. And we can get average surface roughness values from this, images and so forth. So this was very, very useful for us. So we demonstrated, by SEM, by AFM, and by white light interferometer that we could really get these things. And then, again, this is maybe, the science contribution to science in our case, is that as you put more layers, as you can see, average roughness goes up. And then, as the average roughness goes up, static water contact angle goes up, and then contact angle hysteresis just goes down. So basically, for the silicon urea copolymer, of course, when you put too many layers on, then what happens, the surface gets so crowded, then you really lose the, lettability behavior, because it's just too crowded. That's at least, what we have observed. But in a certain range, you can really get very good super hydrophobic surfaces. Now here, I'll just show you, I hope this works. you know, what we have here is a video showing, that, you know, the coated surfaces are really super hydrophobic because water droplets just, you know, fly. Now, here, as you can see, I mean, it's a coated surface. Look what happens to the droplets. And here, there's an uncoated glass. As you can see, it just sticks to it. Now, why did I show you this? Because now we were now approached by a big Turkish company. They have invested millions of dollars into, you know, wind turbines. And this is one blade. I mean, each blade, I don't know if you have ever imagined, but it's about 60 meters. Each blade is 60 meters. And most of the, you know, wind turbines in Turkey are on top of mountains. And in the winter time, it snows, and snow accumulates, and they have to shut down the system. So now we are trying to coat these things, of course not, you know, this one, but, you know, a small part first, just to show that if we can get isophobic surfaces. Once we do it, there are about 2,500 wind turbines in Turkey yet now, and this is going up like crazy. So therefore, if we can really develop, and there is no solution yet, at least if there was, these guys would have used it. They already invested billions and millions of dollars. So this will be a good test for one of our polymers, you know, just to see if we can really solve this problem. And I hope we do. I don't know, of course, we'll do our best. But we have a good idea about how to develop a, you know, ICD surface. So polymer is important, surface is important. So that will be one application. Now in the other case, again, this time we just mixed our polymer and silica and coated. So this is very, very similar to the other one. But we changed the ratio of polymer to silica from 110, 17 to 14. So there was less silica and more silica. And of course, it was very difficult to get, you know, super hydrophobic surfaces here. So silica amount is important, but it was easier to get. And silica amount was higher. As you can see, even after one layer, you were able to get 160 degrees. And as you can see, all surfaces, when we use 1 to 10, silica were super hydrophobic. And here there's a busy table, but again, when it's 1 to 10, they are all super hydrophobic. When it's 7 to 1, all super hydrophobic. But when you go to 4 to 1, then you have to put a lot of layers in order to get super hydrophobic surfaces. But look at these, you know, contact angle hysteresis values. They are very low. They are really very low. So basically, from here, we just determine the critical roughness value in order to get super hydrophobic surfaces for this, you know, polymer siloxane-based polymers. Now, the next one was, you know, Dr. Blade. Again, Dr. Blade is a very simple and, you know, useful technique, and it can also be applied, you know, industrially. And here, as you can see, the particles are really embedded into the polymer, so these are very robust and durable, which is very important. And yet, they also show nanostructure on the surface. So basically, we were able to get, you know, this dual structure. And again, we changed the ratio of silica to polymer. And as you can see, with 110, we were able to get super hydrophobic surfaces. But with 17 and 14, with one pass, we weren't really able to do it. And this was also the, you know, the thickness of the Dr. Blade. This was 200 microns. Because when you have 200 micron thickness, the dry film thickness was about, you know, 5 to 10 microns. So we need at least 5 microns. However, when we used, lower grade gaps, so these produced much thinner films and much smaller particles. So as you can remember from the very back, you know, you have to have at least 5 micron, you know, heights. So here, the heights of these protrusions were not high enough. So we were not able to get super hydrophobic surfaces because, as you can see, the hysteresis values were much, much higher. And then we did spray coating. So in the spray coating, you prepare everything, you put in a gun, and you spray it. And you spray it for 2 seconds. No, I think different time period. This was the pressure. This was, you know, the distance. You sprayed it from, you know, 20 centimeter. And as you can see, in 1 second, you get some roughness. 2, 3, 5 seconds, so the particle size gets much larger. So basically 3 seconds is really, seem to be the optimum. Again, we look at the surface roughnesses by, various techniques. You could really easily observe these, roughness values. And so this was, again, as you can see, the contact angle of 167 or 166, and very low hysteresis. So basically, against silicone urea, after 2 seconds spray, we were able to get fairly good superhydrophobic surfaces. And 2 and 3 seconds sprays gave superhydrophobic. 1 second didn't give. 5 seconds also didn't give to provide very high water contact angle. So again, this is important, and we will have some application for this. What happens, Koç is now building a huge museum in, Istanbul, a new one. It will be 14-story high. And then, on the surface, they use a stone like this. There will be no windows, but it will be all stone. And this stone, of course, is very hydrophilic. How do we get this to work? So, yeah, let's touch the
See?
Okay, I touched the same thing, but it doesn't work. Now look at this thing. You see, when you drop water droplet on a untreated surface, it sticks. Okay? It just sticks. So basically, they don't like it. They would like the water droplet to fly. Look what happens. This is the corridor. And we use spray coating. They are doing it very slowly just to show that the field flies. In fact, maybe you cannot see it, but there are smaller droplets here, but the next one, when it hits those, carries them away. So basically, this is how the surface, if we can apply this, will be super hydrophobic, and that building hopefully will be coated with our material. I think publishing lots of papers is great, but having one product on the market is even more important. Because believe me, it takes more effort and more time to get a good product on the market than publishing 100 papers. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, you should do both. And if you can get one product out, it's really great. So again, but this is just for fun. Because I want to see if what we have done solved a simple problem. That's industry. Now, in fact, this was done by a previous, student, but we took PMMA, polymethyl methacrylate, polystyrene, as I showed you. In fact, epoxy resin, which is a frosting system, so this is a totally different system, and polycarbonate and polyurethane, which of course we do a lot of work with these things, but we were able to convert all of them. Look at the control contact angles, polystyrene 89, almost 90, PMMA 66, we got 173. TPU 84, 171. So basically, whether they are hydrophilic, even epoxy, or hydrophobic, we were able to make them super hydrophobic with very low contact angle hysteresis. And this paper we published, our very first paper was really received extremely well. Very, very well. So again, we just showed this, and now if we go back and look at lotus leaf surface and our surfaces, look how similar they are. So by using a very simple technique, we can coat PMMA, which is hydrophilic, polystyrene or silicone urea, and get surfaces at least look very similar to this lotus surface. But these are totally different polymers. And if you look at the nanostructure, as you can see, this is PBSC, we get the nanostructure. In fact, in every system, we can get maybe not as beautiful as this one, but we get the nanostructure, and it works. It works. So this was really, good. Then of course, when we submit, papers, they say, okay, this is great, but is it durable? That's an important question. And what we have done, Scotch tape tests or rubbing tests. And so far, we didn't see any problem with the durability, but of course we need to really improve it. For example, if we get to work on this wind turbine blade problem, then we have to do it, properly. And then, but the other question was, are they transparent? Now, as you can see, this is the transparency of uncoated glass, invisible region. And then this is the transparency of coated glass with silicon urea polymers with different thicknesses and also with different, silicon content. And as you can see, really, we don't change the transparency much. So this is very, very important, especially in, for example, solar panels as an application or in window dressings. But of course, with some other techniques, again, ductile techniques give you much better results, but other techniques sometimes give inferior results. But as you see, screen coating and ductile coating seems to be giving fairly transparent, or as transparent as glass itself coating. So this is also important. Now let's come to the theory. So according to Wenzel theory, as I said, if you start with PMMA, which is hydrophilic, and introduce roughness, you get it more hydrophilic. There's no way to convert the hydrophilic PMMA to hydrophobic according to Wenzel method or Wenzel model. However, if you start with silicon urea, which is hydrophobic, you can do it. PS just stays as is. However, in case the Baxter model, you can take PMMA, introduce roughness, or PS or silicon urea, and in each case you get super hydrophobic behavior at a certain F ratio. As you can see, since this is hydrophobic already, you don't need as much roughness here. But since it's hydrophilic, you need much more roughness on the surface. So basically, again, we were able to convert all of them to super hydrophobic surfaces. So it means that really this thing doesn't work, at least for our system, but this thing really, the Plessy-Baxter theory really works. In fact, here, this is the theoretical line, Plessy-Baxter line, and this is the experimental data we have. And these data are according to Benson. So as you can see, Benson really, doesn't work. There are a few, hits, but the other one looks pretty good. So basically, we think for our system, when we compare these surfaces very, very randomly, which has both, micro and nano structures, Benson model really can be used to explain the, the behavior of these surfaces. And then we also applied this thing to PMMA. As you can see, almost perfect fit. And then polystyrene, these are the black ones are really theoretical data. So in the first one I didn't put these points, but here we just calculate them at different, F values. And here again, there is really very, very good fit. So PMMA, which doesn't obey at all to Wenzel model, which very well with the Plessy-Baxter model. Now, this was even more interesting because, again, when you make fumed silica, normally it's hydrophilic. There is OH groups on the silicon surface. So they usually treat it with hexamethyl disilazine to give it a silicon group to make it hydrophobic. Because they use, millions and millions of kilograms of this silica in polymer industry to reinforce the mechanical properties of certain polymers. So they are used for reinforcing. We also use it. In fact, we just published several papers where we show that by adding silica, you can increase the modulus, you can increase the tensile strength, you can increase even the elongation. So you start with a very poor material, and by putting silica in it, you can end up with a great material, which industry really loves. So this was supported by a German company, and they were very happy with it. So they gave us lots of silica, and one of them was hydrophilic with OH groups, one of them was hydrophobic. So one day, I told the PhD student, I said, hey, in fact, at that time we were also talking to Ilhan Aksay, and Ilhan said, yeah, super hydrophobic is fine, but can you tune it from superhydrophilic all the way to superhydrophobic. So I told the student, I said, go and mix hydrophilic and hydrophobic silica and coir. And that's what she did on polystyrene. And as you can see, depending on the amount of hydrophilic or hydrophobic silica, so this is all hydrophobic, 86% hydrophobic. So hydrophobic is going down, hydrophilic is going up. So we were able to go from 0 degrees all the way to 175 degrees. But just, so basically now, I mean, we can make surfaces with any contact angle almost. And this was polystyrene. We did it for, silicone. We also did it for epoxy resin. As you can see, by mixing them, we were able to go anywhere from 0 to really very, very high degrees. And here, this is the proof. So this is the data calculated from this equation. Again, just the Baxter equation. And this is the polystyrene data. And this is the epoxy resin data. So as you can see, again, this equation really works very well for this system also. So, I mean, I hope I was able to convince you that, we have a very simple method, and this method can easily be applied by various techniques on different polymer surfaces, and you can get superhydrophobic polymers. And these superhydrophobic polymers, at least, in literature, they say can be used to solve many, many different problems, although, there's only one application so far is in the paints. So there's a product that, they use this and they show that, the surfaces are really self-cleaning. But we also demonstrated that really the structure of the polymer does not have any effect, or hydrophobicity of the parent polymer has no effect on superhydrophobic behavior. The main thing is to get the right roughness and to get right pure micro nano structures. So we were able to get contact angles really as high as almost 175 degrees. So, and again, Wacker gave us silica, they also gave us some money, although not for this project, but they were responsible for us to go into here. Of course, we do most of the characterization by using the instrumentation done at UNAM, research center, which was supported by a Turkish state planning organization, which we discussed yesterday. And so far it's going pretty well. Hope it continues that way. And then finally, this book is just published. Superhydrophobic polymer surfaces, preparation, properties, and applications. So basically the same authors. So basically we wrote about 200 some page work asked by these guys. So it has all the theory at the beginning, and then potential applications and all kinds of. So it's very, very interesting both for scientists working in the field and also engineers or practitioners, because again we try to summarize, as much as we can, the technology and the basic fundamental science behind it in this book, which again was published very recently. In fact, last year I was in sabbatical, so spent most of my time writing this book, and now it's out there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Professor Yılgör, for this rather amazing talk. It was really great to see that good fundamental science can also be applied, a fact that we sometimes miss on as scientists. So, the question, the hall is open for questions from the audience. Yes, please.
Okay, my first question. How much material one should use to coat for example, 1 meter of the surface using your silicone, polysilicone, and urea polymer?
The thickness is total thickness is about 25 microns. So it could be about 25 grams, maybe less. Very small. Very small. If you go 25 microns, I think 25 microns is really equal to almost 25 grams. Except the density of about 1.
And second question. Silica particles in micron sizes, right? Not in
No, this is nano.
nano.
Yeah. The original dimension was around 30 nanometers.
Okay.
But they agglomerate. which is normal. And in fact, it's good that they are agglomerating, otherwise we wouldn't be able to get spread over behavior.
Other questions? Yes, please.
Thank you for your presentation. Like in slide 19, when you were trying to achieve the hypervelocity and the hyperthermic, the step wise, what being hydrophobic or hydrophilic is not easy, right? I mean, when you add like more.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
So I don't know why.
Huh?
Why is that? Why is that?
Because again, that fits. What happens is this. You see, this is the equation, and here in this equation, this is the contact angle of the, let's say, flat surface, polymer surface. In fact, basically, this is the contact angle of air. So for super hydrophobic, we took this 180. And now, according to this equation, again, this F1 is the fraction of the solid surface, and F2 is the fraction of the air pockets. So basically, as you increase this, then you get super hydrophobic. As you decrease this, so basically it's not linear, but it can be governed by this equation. It's not linear.
Thank you for the nice talk. My question is, you mentioned some durability measurements.
Yes.
So especially in the usage of wind turbines, you have a huge temperature change in top of mountains, especially.
Yeah.
So did you check the thermal mismatch of polymer and silica? And also at this bad environment, the temperature will be so low that the mechanical properties of the material will change also. So
That's very good. I mean, of course, obviously you don't know what it is boxing. There's a TG of minus 123 degrees. So basically, down to, in fact, it also crystallizes at minus 80, and it's at minus 50, so you can easily use it as an elastomer down to minus 50 degrees. And basically, there will be no effect, temperature effect, because these type of things are also very widely used, because silicon can go up to 300 degrees, but it can also go to minus 100 degrees. Okay, without any, they use this as a thermocyclic material on space shuttle and the others without any problem. And there's also, the silica, but one problem, of course, again, I'm not really very sure how stable that, surface will be. So I think most of our effort, if we go with that project, will be just to make sure we have really, stable surface. But the polymer-wise, we don't have any problem mechanically, because silicon is really very good for those.
it's good for PDMS, but
PDMS, yeah.
what about the expansion, thermal expansion and contraction mismatch of silica and PDMS?
I mean, as you know, most of the conversion PDMS that's used for these applications are filled up to 60% silica. Without silica, PDMS doesn't work. 60% silica, That's why, in fact, those are closing systems. That's why we developed these silicon urea copolymers about 35 years ago to have elastomers, which is not costing. And now they are all commercial. And that's why I got because of my work on silicon copolymers.
My question is, do these super hydrophobic surfaces really prevent snowflakes from covering them?
I mean, that's what we'll see, because we'll prepare the surfaces, and this company is going to send it to Belgium because they said they have a wind tunnel there that they can control the temperature and humidity and everything. So basically, we can, for example, we tested it in the freezer. So the ice doesn't stick to the surface, but it's not the real test. So the real test will be done, and they say they charge 5,000 euros for each test, but I'm not going to pay it. It's their problem.
Okay, do you know any footage or any photo which shows, for example, snowflakes cannot stay on the surface?
There are lots of papers.
Eventual process.
There are lots of papers showing that. Also, it's a very complex situation because really, the temperature of the snow, the size of the snow, the crystal structure, it will all affect the adhesion to the surface. But right now, what they can do, at least, is, in fact, the paper just came up yesterday, they show that as it snows and as this thing turns, that force will be able to repel the ice from the surface if you do it right. Okay? Because these things are turning. So basically, if you lose a net force, you'll be able to just release the snow even if it sticks to the surface.
Yes, please.
Thank you once again. I was wondering about the mechanistic role of the micron-size features you have on the surface. So how do they mechanically really help to make a hydrophobic surface super hydrophobic?
I mean, again, the key is,
I suppose there's a semantic study where
Yeah,
separation of these micron-size structures is critical, which I think you at the beginning mentioned.
yeah, I mean, people have really, what they have done, I mean, they have prepared surfaces with different, size posts, especially microlithography. And the size of the posts were different and the distance were different.
Right.
So, and then they found out that, because what happens, I mean, the betting behavior of those surfaces, the mechanism of betting really changes, which I've been going to here.
Yes, I was trying to understand in terms of the surface tension. And then you have this water molecules having hydrogen bonds between them, but it's not very strong bond. Like,
I mean, hydrogen bonding is pretty strong.
right, but it's still depending on the surface being wet. So you are basically capturing air pockets.
Yes,
such as-
yes.
But then there must be sort of an operating window within which this will be effective, beyond which it won't work. So not any micro featured nanosurface would give you super.
In fact, believe it or not, it really does. As far as I can see from the literature, but again, there's a lot of debate. Is it, this structure itself, or the wetting behavior of liquid? Of course, when you talk about the wetting behavior of liquid, you have to think about the forces between liquid and air, liquid and solid and air. So basically, that gives you, again, the wetting. But with that, again, it has nothing to do with the results they observe. I think the main, as far as I can see from the literature and all those things, is really the key. And there's a lot of debate, including, for example, Yıldır Mervin, he's a Turkish guy. They published a paper in Science, and he is very, very good on these things. But basically, what happens, even he wrote a paper recently, and the bottom line is, if you really get a surface which has micro nanostructure, and which really can be hydrophilic or hydrophobic to start with, but with a certain F value, you always end up with hydrophobic behavior, and it fits to Baxter equation. But again, there's a lot of debate on mechanistic effects of varying behavior. But again, as far as I know, I mean, it doesn't lead to any place because again, you observe superhydrophobicity.
The environment also affects a lot, I suppose. The quality of the air, whether it's humid or not. The liquid itself.
Of course, these are all done at ambient temperature, ambient moisture. So sometimes we do it in winter time, sometimes in summer time. So we need to maybe 20%, 50%. We haven't seen any difference. But normally, you think that maybe if it's a hydrophilic polymer, maybe it can absorb some water, but I haven't seen it, in the literature. But that's a very good point.
Obviously, the talk generated a lot of interest. We can take one final question. Yes, please.
Professor, thank you very much for your very interesting talk. My question is like this: have you studied the conformality of your spray on very high aspect ratio structures, for example, micro-nanostructures, or not? What do you think about this?
I mean, basically, that stone has, not micro, but even, larger roughness on it. You remember I showed you a video where, you put the droplet and just stuck the stone? So basically, that surface was extremely rough. So, I mean, some of the, in fact, pockets, air pockets, you could see it was maybe in a half a millimeter or so. But once you pour it, again, overall, we were able to convert it, but we didn't really take very well-defined surfaces with different, micro nanostructures because we always start with a flat surface, and we create roughness on the flat surface by using silicon. So, I mean, if you start with a rough surface already and pour it, what happens? Definitely done. Because, I mean, that's not definite, at least for us. We wanted to start from flat and make it super hydrophobic to the simple methods.
Is there a really urgent question?
That's not urgent.
You have been raising your hands 10 minutes, so please. Yes.
Okay, I'm really sorry, Professor. Actually, I have a couple of questions that I will try to do that. So you have not shown a cross-sectional structure of your cortex. That's number one. There can be porosity which can really affect the structure. And the second thing, what is the durability? Because what you are showing us here is, you're causing a surface of weak energy components which any of human being will touch them after you apply, or the tiles which no one will touch them later. So, because in the industry you can only give only 1 year for the super hydrophobic proteins as a guarantee. So, what are the scratch testing properties or durability stuff?
Again, as I told you, we haven't of course done any of these things yet, for at least for these type of services. But that's the challenge that I'm sure we'll be able to, solve. But that's the challenge because, again, now, I mean, if it was simple, there would be a solution. Obviously, there is no solution yet, and that's good because then we have a chance. Okay, but the problem may be very difficult, which I can see that. But again, but of course, we are also smart people, so I'm sure we'll find
Solutions. We are at the end of the colloquium now. I should have really mentioned at the beginning, I neglected to do so, that Professor Yılgör is the winner of the Tax Science Award in the year 2003. And I also should have mentioned that he is the father of PITAM, the Surface Science and Technology Center at Koç, a very active center of research. And finally, he's on the editorial board of European Journal of Chemistry. So before you submit anything there, just let him know next time. Or maybe not, depending on
I don't publish myself, that's right.
Let's thank Professor Yılgör.
From here?